out in the broader community. It's such a real gift of having learning come to life. We've become a school that the diversity really represents that of Hawaii, and we're in a strong financial position as a school. So those are what we shared with them as the major strengths. But what we shared with them, apparently, we shared one more, that we're resilient and nimble. And that really was one, we wrote this during, part of the time that's included in there is, of course, the pandemic and how the school, that one of the biggest kicks of enrollment was the increase of enrollment during and after the pandemic. And the other is, it was not lost on me that I would be introduced in the first months of school as, oh, this is the fourth head of school in 5 years. That's how the staff would introduce me sometimes. Okay, let's just say she's the head of school now. We don't need to go through that. We had 5 before, whatever. But that resiliency of moving through leadership transition and talking about that is not seeing it as a deficit, but really actually seeing it as, yes, there were moments that are hard, but we are a resilient community that grew and moved through that significant changes. So the 6 institutional priorities, and this one will be easier now that I've hit all 6, is we are really, and it was actually so valuable to work with all the different leadership groups on campus to have these emerge as we grow, because at the end of each of those 16 chapters, you have to say what's a strength and what's a zone of growth. And so when we started to see patterns, when did we see an area of growth recurring in multiple chapters? This is how these 6 priorities would lead. So governance, we're really looking at our board structure and how the strategic leadership of the school, what are those structures? When was the last time we visited them? We're revisiting them now, and how are we putting those new structures into place? Establishing a strong strategic plan. One of the challenges was that with the different leadership, it didn't make sense to have a new strategic plan in place, so we need it as a school. We need a strategic plan. Our finance and policies, formalizing those, looking at assessment and how we do ongoing formal assessment with our staff, and our staffing assessment of do we have the right people in the right spots and do we have the right positions, so all of that. Our alumni program, and it's been really fun to work on this and develop it, but it's kind of like it was very, I don't want to informal, it's growing, it's emerging. And again, through lots of changes, even from database changes to having the bandwidth to be able to reach out to folks. It's been so fun to be able to be doing that and to have a team that has the skills and bandwidth to be able to do it. And then regular and consistent data collection across the school. Because in terms of driving decisions, you don't want to do it on a whim, you want to do it based on data and information. And just how have we done that? Not as thoroughly as we can going forward. So that's a growth for us. So that's the accreditation. We shared with families, and some of you were here in the meeting with Kamehameha Schools, and I just thought it was important to talk about. This has been a significant community partnership that's changed the school in the last 7 to 8 years, right? Changed it in remarkable ways from everything I've learned about it. And through important different reasons with Kamehameha, the reasons they shared when they were here was important strategic plan shifts and directions of the school, of the organization. I also know it's shared in a separate situation, just the impact of demands of lawsuits and financial needs through everything that happened in Maui. Their leadership needed to make a pivot. This was actually a pretty big surprise that they are no longer doing school partnerships. So for 6 schools, they had a partnership, some in Oahu, some on at least one in Big Island, and then us here. And those 6 schools are no longer in a direct partnership relationship. Maybe we are because they're continuing to support our students that we admitted pre-K all the way through, I'll say 11th grade is the student. The partnership is changing this year. We no longer will get a gigantic foundation contribution that we distribute. Now the relationship with Kamehameha is that families, the support goes directly to between student and Kamehameha, between the family and the Kamehameha schools. So literally the deadline was last night. I'm literally here till 9 o'clock at night calling and making sure everybody gets walked through, right? And so we're down to like at 8 o'clock at night we were down to 8 families. Get on the phone and call all 8 of those families to support them, and it was, and so we're committed to making sure that the growth that we've come to as a school, that we continue on that growth and sustain community. Absolutely 100%. I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, but.
Yeah, it's been an important partnership for sure, and it's changed the school, right? What I've always said about it is it's tremendous work that Kamehameha is doing to serve their population of patient support, and we just get the benefit from that. So every time we talk about it, I was always like, yeah, it's really great for us, but don't forget who it's really great for. It's the students on Kauai that are native Hawaiian that would like to choose to come to Island School that can't maybe get all the way to Kapalama for whatever reason and would prefer not to go into the DOE system. So we get the benefit from that, and hopefully it's a reciprocal benefit, right, for the families, and it's just been tremendous for the school, I think, and it's unfortunate, but it is, but Nancy's right, it's just, instead of having this direct money, they're going to just work with the families directly instead, which is fine. When we first got the money in, it was like, what do we do with this? What are we supposed to do? And they're like, you just do something with it. Tell us what to do with it. And it was kind of scary, right? So they're trusting us to make some good decisions and then to report, and then you kind of do okay with that. Go. And I think we've done tremendous because we tried to put all that money to work as financial support for families, and then just a tiny little bit, or through the rest of our budget, we have what they call wraparound services that support the families as they're school. So it's been a great partnership. We still have a partnership with the schools, truthfully, and we'll still continue to do the work either way. And then the last thing I would say is, the way the board feels is, well, shucks, but let's just figure out what we do from here. We still want Island School to be representative of the community that we live in. So we want people to come to Island School to reflect on who's out there in our community, which means we're going to continue to work on having all the population of Hawaii Island Schools we can.
It'll mean shift because it is a distinct shift in how the funding happens, and so for families, for instance, who assumed they would be able to be a part of this, and I don't mean assume in a bad way, it was a part of applying to Island School. Literally, there's the little snafus of the families. I can't apply for Kapalama, but now there's these different scholarships, and now that's closed, but Island School is not, and they're new to the school, so they can't, so all of any incoming families like that, we will have to do our darndest in terms of financial aid support to support new families coming in. So they are supporting our current families all the way through graduation if they stay at Island School. That's a one-to-one together of how they're choosing to see that partnership through. But it's a pretty big shift for new families, and so it makes very clear our work in terms of fundraising. And you all know that the cost of a private school education is not just the tuition. So wraparound services includes all the things, whether it's bus or uniform shirts, school shirts, lunch, all those kind of things. And how do we support our families who are doing every single thing to make Island School possible for their child?
Okay, one last thing too. Some people out there might read this and go away and say, well, there goes our chance to go very long. It's important that anybody, whether native Hawaiian or not, who's thinking about Island School, do their best to, as early as possible, contact admissions and talk with them about the school and is it right for their children, and then to see what possibilities there are. I get calls all the time. You can imagine, been for a while finance and now board chair. Like I get these calls in July, like, well, I think you go there. School starts sense, who am I to decide whether so-and-so's child is better than anyone else who's been in the queue and started early properly, right? So as you meet people or talk with people that might be your peers who are having children or talking about it, you just kind of, hey, go early and go often. Go take a tour, go find out, see if it's right for your family. And if it is, talk with Sean or admissions, whoever it is, about the opportunities available for them to come to school here. Explore early. And then it's easier to say no than to grovel in later, right?
And so speaking of that, the time is
It's segue.
It's like please, if you know anyone, now's the time, and you will be soon getting your re-enrollment for your own families. And those deposits will due February. Our goal, we've been at 492. That we've budgeted on numbers that are higher, and then why keep saying 502 or 504 when we actually are at 492, 494? So we budgeted this year on 492. If we get above that, that's exciting, but our goal for 25-26 is to be basically the same size we are now. We are 492 right now. The financial aid applications are also for anyone will be due in February. And just in case anyone's asking you can begin that process with 23 documents to finalize it. You have to submit your 24 tax documents. And so again, anyone that might be interested. It is an interesting. We're working on how the narrative we have out in the community. It takes a long time to change word of mouth, and word of mouth, at least how I encountered it as a new person in Hawaii, is, I don't know if that's island school is, I don't know, it's for other people, right? As I'm out paddling or at the Hawaii, so there's often things that we're sharing, and as we do more things, when you see us out, there's going to be an Olelo celebration on March 1st. You see us out there because literally the number of people I also have said, I am so surprised. I did not know. They come to an event, they see us show up, they see us at a game, and they're like, oh wow, look at that diversity of the, and I had, I think she's the president of the board, Marissa, over at Kamakini, and was an alum of the school, and at the alum event, she came, and it was so exciting. I was at graduation. Wow, the school has grown so much and is so much more diverse than when I was here as a student. And so that kind of, of course there's more work to do. Of course there's more to do. But as much as we can, as much as we could be a part of sharing who we are today, and where we're growing, how we're growing and aspiring, it just only helps all of our students. Okay. And finally, I'm just going to say we had this awesome opportunity. I don't know if you have heard of either Rob Evans or Michael Thompson, but I just want to encourage you to sort of set aside a date of February 11th if you can. There'll be childcare and light dinner and everything, so you can come and hear these two folks. Most recently, they were in Hawaii. They went to all three Kamehameha Med School campuses, Punahou. Last time they were in Hawaii. This year, they're going to Assets, our school, and I can't remember what their school. It might be Leisure-Net, it might be a different school. Can't remember. But Michael Thompson wrote the text, Raising Cain. Rob Evans does that. Together, they've written a new text on partnering with parents in independent schools. They're just this incredible resource, and we've been wanting to look at that. I started thinking about what's different kind of education and opportunities that we can offer, and this came through HIS, and I sort of grabbed onto it and kept pursuing to see if it was possible. So they're coming out, they'll do a session with students, our older students, middle and high school. They'll do a session with the faculty and staff. We're working on doing a board session on governance and family parent information learning session. So, I believe the topic is going to be parenting with more joy, less stress in a digital age. Isn't that something?
Fiction or non-fiction?
Probably make sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stand a little because it says I have to. So, okay, PD, am I good?
Yep.
Try to stay within this 4 square feet area. So I'm just gonna talk about a few things, relationship with tuition, fundraising, role of endowment, what is an endowment, what are we doing about that, what is it? We'll have some discussion about the annual gala and whatever fund. First, as Nancy already shared, and most of us know, tuition doesn't pay for everything that we do here. It's about 3/4, which is really great. This is normal. This is not like an island school specific thing. It's not like, oh, how come our school is like that? What's wrong with us? It's actually very typical. There's always going to be donations and grants, and sometimes when you hear about tuition, you wonder, but this is pretty normal here. We have some program fees, like bus and lunches and other things that are specific to a program. They come in, and then grants and donations, of course. Donations, a big part of it, philanthropy grants from people like, I want to resurface the parking lot, so we give us money to resurface the parking lot, things. Or I would like to do certain types of training things. I got some money for that. And then I don't really know if that's a typical number for schools our size or our age. Nancy lets us know that the total amount of our endowment, which is now tipping over $2 million for the first time, was stuck for kind of a while in the low ones for a while. It's kind of meandered along. Is a little low for a school our size and our age, but here we go. We're beginning to make our way. So we're now up to $2 million, which is really great. The endowment is like, once you put money into the endowment, you can't take out the money that you put in to corpus, right? So when you put $2 million in there, you can't take out any of that $2 million. You take out the stuff that it earns or how it grows. So we have investment partners that help us to manage that money, and we try to grow it. And our spending policy on that is that we can spend up to 5% per year. So this means at $2 million, we can spend up to $100,000 per year. Take money out of there, put it into the operating budget, use that. It's basically a big savings account that helps us fund it. And the bigger it gets, the more we can take. The more we can take, the less stress there is on the operating model, right? If it were, it had a zero at the end of that, imagine that we could put $1 million in, right? Our budget is roughly $8.5 million per year. So the bigger it can get, the better. But it's kind of like, well, how do we don't just make it bigger then? You know, why do we throw money in there? First of all, when we operate every year, we're trying to operate to zero, right? We're always trying to take in just enough to get to zero, including saving for the future and knowing we have to repair things and doing all that stuff. So we don't operate for a profit where we can feed the endowment. Sometimes we have a profit, a surplus, it's called, right, in the nonprofit world, and we might consider sliding some into there. But so far we haven't. We've always had some projects going on. Right, we're this growing school. I've been involved for about 15 or 20 years now, and it's just been on this growth curve for a while. So, growth in business, it's like every time you make hay or when you have more wood, you just keep throwing them on the fire. You don't save any for later. You're like, fire needs to be. So we're making our way, and people consider gifts to the endowment when they think it's appropriate. Maybe they have a specific purpose. My dad decided some years ago, my part of the endowment will be for professional development. So I'll put my money in there, and when it earns something, you can use it for training. There's another one, Jim Gerber, who wants worldly endeavors or worldly exposure. So if there's a trip somewhere in the world that people are going to learn more, they can use money for that part. There's a Waimakua Rice family one where they use it for special things to come up with. So when you use it in a special circumstance, you think you can use it. And then a large portion of it is really general, and we use it a lot for financial. So we're growing the endowment, and if you all remember Vince when he was here, he really introduced, especially those of us on the board, and maybe the rest of the community carefully, quietly, to this idea of a culture of philanthropy, right? Like, hey, you can't go around saying, hey, we don't want to bother you for donations too much. No, you got to be out there shamelessly saying, hey, we need help, and help till it feels good. And if you can't, but you know someone that can, introduce us to them. Let us follow the breadcrumbs around and try to have this philanthropy, right? So that's where we're headed. And one guy in the room seemed to be paying attention to that. He and his wife and his family have decided to make a major gift that most of you, if you've been reading your emails, know about that, right? It's a large gift immediately, and it also has some future future years coming up to it. So Aaron, Jen, thank you for your thoughts. Obviously, something like this isn't just given for this season, or it's really a long-term, forward-thinking dip. I don't know if we should expand on it further, but basically the top priority is to, and we've been on this march for a little while, right? We know we have to work on compensation for our faculty and staff. So a large portion of that is to continue to do that. There's a leadership gift for the book office gym refresh, which we'll do a little refreshing, but really it's a lead gift to allow us to add on locker rooms and have proper things there in the gym. We gotta wait for maybe some big fans.
And maybe some big fans. No, not maybe.
Or big fans.
Big fans, yeah.
Yeah,
But you know, if you don't know anything about when that building was built, just an example of, you know, when the building was built, there were originally locker rooms designed onto it. They absolutely had locker rooms. I'm sure there was a plan for weight room, but when push comes to shove, I mean, the leaders of the school made important, tough decisions. They factored out the weight room because and we don't carry any debt as a school, or we technically carry very little debt because they made really responsible choices from our past, which has allowed us to really grow. And so now we're at this inflection point, this moment of growth for the school that's so exciting. And so to revisit, now one can always go, oh, it's been cheaper, 20 years ago to put the locker rooms on, but we're gonna do it now, and it's gonna be so exciting. So exciting for the kind of growth our athletes are seeing. And then it allows us, it frees us up to do other things in other areas of the school. So.
Yeah, and then administration building reimagined. You know, at a first board meeting that we had when I was president, we took a detour right out of the gate, right? We called the meeting to order and said, okay, everybody get up, we're going to take a walk. And we walked around the administration side of the building, we walked around this side of the building, we went up to see a little bit of the gym, and we went back to see the library room. And for me, it wasn't about any of this at the time. Maybe Jim must have been having, he had different ideas, but for me it was just like, hey, the board should see some of the stuff at school. We regularly meet in one place all the time, and they only sit in one room. So I'm on a kind of crusade. We're going to meet all over the place all the time. And Nancy's not going to know what the next one's going to be. Like, we're going to have a meeting, and I'm going to say, okay, the next meeting's going to be here. She's going to go, oh, well, I don't know if we should meet there. I'm going to say, oh, we're going to meet there twice. Our last meeting was in Bracken Brown Hall, Dave Reynolds' room, which is what turned out to be really an amazing meeting space because the size of the room and the size of the table was perfect for our board. And if you've been in there, you know the room is not so new, it's not so modern, but it was an amazing meeting space. Josh here he's on our board too. Josh's family has been a part of that building even existing on our campus, right? So it was really great to be there on this conversation, but it gave a lot of us some thought about what we should do. And Jen must have gone home and I don't know how that conversation went there. I'm glad it went. And I'm glad it turned out. And we're so honored. And we're also going to be giving to the annual Voyager Fund for several years in a row. We're also going to be helping out at college. And so we're going to have some community gifts. And hopefully others of us who are paying attention will look at that. What ways can I support it? And, it may not be as much or whatever, maybe it is, or people will hopefully get some ideas and go, huh. And that's exactly some of the seeds that I think that started us on this culture of philanthropy. It's okay to consider gifts in the school. And I'm so grateful for Aaron and Jen in the first place to do this, but I'm also pretty grateful that they're willing to have their name on the screen here. It's a challenging thing, right, when you do philanthropy sometimes. You don't want to be singled out. You don't want somebody from down the road to point out, and of course they have family here at the school for a while. And as I shared with faculty and staff the other day, treat them the way you got to treat them. That's how my kids are treated. And, they turn out the way they do. No special treatment for their kids. In fact, maybe they got to pick up trash twice that day.
Is there anything you wanted?
Yeah, do you want to share? Do you want to come up and say anything?
No,
we were the third graduating class in high school. You know, the high school got added on 1 year at a time, and it was like jungle rules for a couple of years. And we had 10, you didn't graduate, but we had 10 kids in my graduating class. And I mean, Brown Hall was like the first high school building up there. And I just remember this school when it was teeny tiny. And it is absolutely unbelievable to see it in its form today. It is unbelievable to see my kids here doing what they're doing. And I did not think I would send my kids to Island School because it was such a different environment back then. And but to see it today and the enriching experience that they get, and it's just unbelievable if you're one of those people who's been lucky enough to see the transition that we see this. And so we just really believe that there's so much more to come and to be done, and just to have the opportunity to support that growth is we just feel really proud.
That's amazing, like you're channeling with me, because I was going to say, there's, by the way, before I finish, by the way, there are some alumni in the room, right? Josh and Aaron, and actually, you've been here too. My wife called herself an alumni because she went to Iowa school at Calia for a while before she went off to the back and asset school. So, you know, there are these alumni who are now adults and parents. And as when Nancy came, you know, I lightly started, and now I'm pushing heavier on her, like, hey, we really got to do something about this alumni program. And there's some really great stuff starting on that. And then the other part I was going to say is, just like Aaron said, we do this little school, right? And then we slowly became a big little school, and we are now a little big school. The difference in schools, right? Like 10 years ago, when my kids were going to school here, it was people doing 3, 4, 5 different things at once. And now we're evolving to the time where people can do one or two things instead of so many things. And we have people that are dedicated to the work that they're doing. So it's a great place to transition to the next person who is now dedicated to the work that they do.
Dedicated to the work. Dedicated to the work.
So this is Megan, but then our director of development.
Families, commitment to the school, and your gift, your time, your treasure, talents. It makes such an incredible difference. So moving on and shifting to the annual gala, we hope you'll all receive your invitations and will join us on March 1st for the 46th annual gala Voyage of New Stars. This is the school's biggest fundraiser for financial aid, and we really rely on the community coming together to make it a success. With the goal of $250,000, there are so many ways to get involved through help setting up, decor, breaking down. We certainly need donations of silent items, live items, and if you're willing to make those calls and help us on the acquisition front, that's incredibly helpful. And tickets are on sale, so get your tickets and your tables, bring your friends, and we also have plenty of sponsorship opportunities as well. And as Sam discussed, to make our operating budget work, a big piece of that is fundraising and the annual Voyager Fund. We have a goal of $225,000, and we're happy to share that we're at 84% of that goal, with the board's leadership of 100% giving, gifts ranging from $10 to $50,000. They're all very meaningful, and we're hoping to reach our stretch
fees, different things, that's really important because it doesn't cover all of our costs. The biggest cost is our personnel. We do feel like that's our greatest asset, right? Our teachers are the ones who interact every day with our students and help them learn and have a good experience. And so we've been spending a lot of time investing in our teachers, and that's going to be reflected in our adjustment in tuition. We really, one of our goals is to try to get as closely to the DOE pay package as possible, and we're making a lot of efforts to do that, to take care of our teachers. On top of that, it's just expensive to live in Kauai, right? So if our teachers are worried about making their mortgage or their rent, they're not being able to focus on our students. So that's been one thing that we're really focusing on, trying to make sure we're taking care of our teachers, and then also to attract talent and to retain them. Because that's a problem, right? If we get them here, we get them all trained up, and then they get a job offer somewhere else, and they leave for better pay, then that's lost, right? Lost on the school, lost on the students. So those are kind of the big things that we're focusing on in our budget. Oh, and then deferred maintenance, just trying to take care of the facilities that we have, and then also expand our facilities. Also on top of that, there is staffing that we need to hire for. We kind of got hiring freeze during COVID, just kind of maintaining what we had, but now there's a lot of different areas, especially with the new school enrollment, that we need to make sure that we have good coverage and be able to offer the best program possible. So we're continuing with our fundraising efforts for the donations, for the Christian family and other donations, the gala, everything that we can do to increase the financial aid helps our enrollment. And then we budgeted for $492, which is the same as this year. And so then we're doing a 5% increase. Now, I have 3 students here, so I have robust discussions with the finance committee on how can we keep that as low as possible and provide as much as possible. So myself, Sam, Christine, Nancy, as well as Danette, our CFO, we go through line item by line item and negotiate. What can we provide? Where can we cut? And that's where we came up with, which we felt like was the best we could do. So we are mindful that this is a sacrifice for everybody involved as far as the tuition and what it costs every year. So we try to be prudent with the funds that we have. And the biggest one that we are going to be increasing is the pre-K. The pre-K has been a little bit low compared to the other grades, but it does require more teachers per student. So it's kind of been artificially low as we've kind of been building it, but it needs to be increased to be competitive with the other grades. Keep in mind too that pre-K we are not a daycare, so it's different. We get different pricing, right? If all we're doing is just watching the kids and keeping them during the day, but we have a robust program for the pre-K, a lot of cultural activities going on as well as education. So that's when we're going to see over the next few years get closer to like a tuition of the other classes. And we've been increasing it like the same percentage as the other ones, but as the years go by, if you're increasing this by 5%, this by 5%, this one's going up $500, $600, and this one's only going up $300. So the gap's kind of gotten wider. So you'll see that close over the next 3 or 4 years, or 5 years. And then we've been focusing on increasing the financial aid as much as possible. A big emphasis, especially Nancy's been pushing and spearheading, is trying to maintain the cultural diversity of the school to reflect the cultural diversity of the island. So that's something that we're very mindful of, that we talk about a lot, is how we can maintain that. And then we talk about keeping and retaining good talent with our teachers. So that's one of them is the compensation increase. But this doesn't all go directly to wages. There's workers' comp, there's insurance, there's a lot of health insurance. There's a lot of other factors that get increased on us every year that we provide. And also retirement. We've been focusing a lot on retirement to help our teachers and staff be able to plan for the future. So that's kind of in a nutshell kind of where a lot of the tuition goes to, is to take care of our teachers and our staff. Is it?
She wants to.
What I'm doing,
Questions for David? We, in terms of faculty and staff compensation, it's been from the get-go, work that you all did, so we didn't have any debt, we didn't move, we didn't have to do debt servicing last year for the Pratt Hall. We were able to functionally finish that building without carrying this. We were able to move funds into that, went right to faculty and staff. We've been doing really important work to increase people's base pay. And then this year, this year's budget process for 25-26, really do a significant attention to retirement and to how retirement is able to be funded for faculty and staff. And so it's really, really important changes. And again, overall position increases too. So we have someone who's running the maker studio and we have someone who's, so those kind of staffing changes are seen so that overall 10% compensation increase is across the whole thing. And it's been really, really important work. All kinds of negotiations. Like, okay, what if it's this? How about we do that? And come in with like 3 different scenarios about retirement and roles, and then we have to go back and renegotiate and just push to support and care for. One of the first things that was said to me when I came on was able to increase compensation for our hourly folks. She said, you know what, Nancy, I've been here how many years? She's been at the school many years. And it's pretty demoralizing to drive by McDonald's and see the hourly wage more than yours. So sorry to hear that. And we're going to keep working on it. And we have done really, really important work. And next year will be more work again and stronger. And I'm so appreciative of the board that understands that, and for families who understand. Increasing tuition is not something anyone does lightly, and we are still under what other schools like ours. The tuition is lower than other schools. I come from a context, right, where tuition in San Francisco is $60,000 for high school. $60,000. That's insanity, right? But for the preschool age school I was at was $45,000, right? So we worked very, very hard. That number feels big. We crossed over 20,000, and we worked really hard. That's why financial aid needed to increase. I've never worked at a school where 51% of our families receive some form of aid. That's an incredible commitment to the socioeconomic diversity of the school. And many schools have taken away remission, or faculty and staff who have children have the kind of package that we do. Many schools have taken it away in terms of trying to strategically save money, and that's just, it's so important to us to have our faculty, staff, children in the school that remain committed to that and seeing that as a real benefit for everyone. So we talked a lot. Any questions? For Jed, super excited for any questions. All right, that's okay. So yeah.
So is that with the loss of the CNN financially?
That's a great question. That is, our increase is our line. I'm going to tell you how surprising it was. 6 months ago, we re-upped with BAMA. We got the award, and it was like, here's how it's going to go for the future. It's super exciting, 25-26. And then about a month ago, so basically 5.5 months later, we got a call like, hi, we need to meet with you again. Oh, great. And we got told it was totally changing. And so we didn't know, we didn't have very much time with that information, but we did know by the time we set the budget. So the budget has been adjusted for the anticipated amount that will continue. The trick with it, of course, is that it doesn't change. The way it works is that a family, if you receive a certain amount of money, that is the money that you will receive from Kamehameha from when your child was in kindergarten all the way through until they're a senior in high school. Well, you can imagine tuition's not going to stay the same between when that child was in kindergarten and all the way through then. I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, your child is in kindergarten. it is both reflective, we made an intentional increase. We're gonna be learning a lot, but is that enough? And so this year is learning a lot, so that's why, we just look at each other every day, like, all right, here we go. Next one, awesome, check it off, go to the next one. Because everyone is a victory, and the next one is for the care of this community, for our faculty, staff, and for every family. So, we set these goals, and we're gonna have to build past them. Just to be as safe as possible for our families. So that 8% is an increase. I'm not 100% sure it's enough because I can't do nothing, right? So that's why you'll hear us. All forms of partnership, from that $10 to whatever that meaningful gift on the other end. It's all ours. Yeah.
And then just generally, what's the outward message to the Island School community about tuition hikes going forward? I know that's hard to say, hey, we're going to keep it flat, or hey, we're going to go 5% a year for the next whatever, but that is something that folks coming in always kind of want to go back.
Oh no, you're doing calculations. Wait, if my student is in second grade.
Hey, this is
Yeah.
50 grand.
That's right,
Yeah.
and I hear that. And the goal is that schools go through different fluctuations of tuition increases. We've done a pretty significant push in the last 2 years because we were, frankly, I'm just going to speak plainly, that we were behind in terms of compensation. The way in which the school survived through some of the most significant challenges was through keeping, in my opinion, as an outsider that came in after all, keeping compensation artificially low compared to the actual cost. So the balance of, if compensation is lower, you can do these other things, but there's a point at which the tension, what worked 10 years ago in terms of compensation, Hawaii's changed. What's happened in the last 4 or 5 years in Hawaii and how that's impacted people's compensation and wages is we didn't keep up with that in terms of our tuition. And so I do not believe we will be like every year 5, 10. I don't think that's the future. We're so close to being competitive with DOE. Like when we get there, that means you can flatten out. We don't need to keep increasing ridiculous amounts of staffing. We've done as good as we've done as a school, and we might studying on the school by being lean and being strategic. We have to keep doing that if we're going to be as accessible to as many families as possible, and to be really mindful of the responsibility of setting tuition. So hopefully that.
Yeah. So we want to do their best to, keep it low. It's like, I don't think things that we have help with that. But, if 3/4 of our spending is on staffing costs and you got to give raises every year, you have to feed people. You have to raise the income too. So there always will be increases. We do our very best to keep it low. I think that's the last 4 years is trying to level up this year.
I mean, this is the most important chart to answer that question. Right? How many levers are there to address tuition level? There's tuition itself. There's grants and donations. And there's programs. And grants and donations in there with that good 1% endowment. So when schools have a large endowment, right, you lower the tuition pie drops to maybe that's 60%. And then you're endowment, right? So when you have fewer levers, there's only some, so we don't, of course, they want to get grants and donations up to 20 to 25%. Yeah, but those are the levers, right? And so most schools, as I was citing earlier in California, they lean on tuition. And frankly, the numbers there are like 85% are full-pay families. 85% of the school where full-pay families are paying $55,000 to $60,000 for their tuition, and they got 2 kids in the school. That's a different school. That's a different student body than what we have. We're so committed to this student body, and that's partly why I'm here. Right? I could be in California, but when I saw what this school does for its student body and the community, that's a dream for someone like me. And you just don't see those you don't see that tuition rate nor 51% from our live streamed audience? No. I just so appreciate it. It's such a small sort of crew. Hopefully having town halls is just an opportunity for people to see and hear stuff directly from us. Is meaningful to us. But if there's any, we can close. Can you please take some shots home? There's like 2 whole boxes. But if you have any individual questions that you'd rather ask privately, glad to do it, or make a time to meet with me, or Sam, I might volunteer. But truly, and if there are ways, if just hearing this stuff inspires you, like, oh, there are ways I can contribute, and I want to be a part of the school in a different way. Some of that, the goals resonated for me. And of course, if you are available when I come in on February 5, you are welcome to come and hear the meeting from the visiting committee on February 5. It's in the afternoon. It's during faculty meeting time around 3:15. And then they'll do their big reading, and then we'll have some good celebration after. Such a big thing we will have made it. So thank you for being here, and